I'm Em,
And I'm Lex.
and we're thrilled to welcome you to the Ready, Set, Coach podcast.
Now, we're not just your hosts. We're also mamas, entrepreneurs, coaches, friends, and co-founders of the Ready, Set, Coach community.
What began as a pandemic side hustle has blossomed into a vibrant online community crafted by coaches for coaches.
So when we're not immersed in our coaching community on Circle, we're busy managing our other businesses, navigating the ups and downs of life, and of course, recording this podcast.
This is where we dive deep into epic conversations about life, business, coaching,
and everything in between.
So are you ready, Lex?
I'm set, Em.
Let's coach.
What's up, what's up, what's up?
Hello, is it me you're looking for? No?
I don't know, I was trying to think of something clever, and then my mind just
You're
absolutely
like,
blank, which happens
you're like,
quite a
hello
lot.
from the other side.
Duh. I don't know why I didn't recognize the song from the beautiful voice
What?
singing it to me, but
I know. Thank you. My voice is, oh shit. Oh God. Oh God. Guys, sorry. I moved my podcast. Everything's falling over.
how are you guys today? We're gonna pretend you're answering. You're great. You're doing great. You feeling like shit show like us? Awesome. Welcome home.
I'm curious. I'm curious if everyone, was able to respond to us in emojis, what their Thursday brain looks like, because I think you have the same brain as me at this point, Lex. But on Thursday, it gets to be the melty emoji, where
That's also Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday.
that's kind of like the big eye, like, oh shit, what did I sign up for emoji? Like, what
Yeah,
have I done?
Yep.
And then
That is
Thursday.
funny. I'd say Tuesday through Thursday are melties. Fridays like a wine glass emoji because that's where my
Yeah.
brain's at.
Mhm. I know. On Friday, I'm always like, oh my gosh, you know what we should do? We should go out to dinner. Like, we should have a date night. We should do something. And then the real Friday happens, and I'm like, can we go to bed by 8:45? Is that too early?
Well,
And
because you've likely hosted an event on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and had 50 calls on Thursday. Where me,
no.
I had like 2 social interactions the whole week, and I'm like, oh God, I need a month.
I know. I know. What happened to us? I do feel like in my youth, now I just feel old. I'm not going to even go there. But yeah,
No, I think, and everyone listening who knows you knows that you still have the energy of youth. Oh no, I'm losing my voice. Here we go. Here we go. It's gonna be a sexy episode, guys.
it's because I drink from the fountain of youth every day.
I'm gonna sound scratchy. Emily's still gonna hiccup.
Oh yeah, I have the hiccups every
We're all
time I
gonna
breathe. That's fine. And then we're gonna turn this into a drinking game. This is a fun show.
drink with us. Stop what you're doing. Grab your kombucha,
Yeah.
your coffee, your whiskey, whatever your
Have you had
flavor.
shrub before?
Shrug?
Shrub?
I don't know what that is.
I had it last night as a mocktail, and the people I was with were like, "What are you talking about?" And it's kind of like a kombucha. It's like vinegary in flavor. Let me see. Google tells me what it is.
Shrub. No,
Um,
and my other podcast, Pitchin' and Sippin', at the end of every episode, and there's been over 100 people tell me about their favorite drink, and I have learned so many unique beverages that way, but I've never heard shrub.
Okay. Is drinking shrub good for you? You could, of course. Yeah, It's basically like vinegar. It's like an organic apple cider vinegar drink.
I mean,
It
I
has
like kombucha,
antioxidants and antimicrobial
bio something.
effects, and it can boost your immune system and aid digestion.
Oh,
Ooh,
great.
okay.
Shrub.
But yeah,
This podcast was
it's
brought to you by
basically
Shrub.
brought to you by Shrub. It's basically made with vinegar and fruit. You can drink it as a mocktail or a cocktail. Yeah,
Fun. Fun
who knew?
fact.
So,
Who knew?
anyways, it's
Who
like
knew?
less sugary kombucha, I think, is what it tastes like
Okay.
to me.
That is my gripe with kombucha. No,
So
but with kombucha.
Kombucha, when I was in the South, we had some kombucha too.
Lordy Lord, it's one of those days. And when you're having one of those days, it's hard to want to show up and do content. I get
Ugh.
it. Melty face emoji. So what we're going to talk about today, insert transition, are content hacks and time savers for your coaching business.
I think the content hack, the first thing that we should tell people is just go to Canva and put the melty face emoji and then download that and post it. And that's your content for the day.
That could probably be an entire account, just every day post that. I
I
bet it would
kind
go
of like
viral.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You guys can
feelings.
have that idea. Just give us at least a 10% commission off any brand deals. It could be melty face emoji holding a pop. Like I can already see how you can
Yeah.
brand. Wow.
Oh, I like
Wow. You're
this.
welcome. You're
Oh,
welcome, everyone.
wow, Lex, our next thing that takes us away from focus.
I know. Squirrel. Shiny object. Shiny object syndrome. Okay, Emily, let's dive into this. We have so many hacks here. And just before we like dive into this, we kicked off Ready Set Build yesterday, which is a 30-day sprint with members of our community and some members not in our community who are now in the community,
Yeah. Haha, got
where
ya.
we are building content and visibility for 30 days straight. And these are some of the suggestions we gave them. And so with that said, now I'm going to re-ask Emily, what is our first content hack for coaches?
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, I think there's so many things, but since we are in 2025, and I feel like this is one of the hottest topics out there in
So
2025.
hot right now.
So hot right now, but it's understanding how to leverage AI for inspiration and iteration. So we've had other conversations about ChatGPT, and I feel like our love and appreciation for it has evolved over the past
Totally.
7 months, 8 months or
You
so.
were a far more early adopter, like acceptor than I was. I definitely took a beat to like get on the bandwagon.
Oh, you were an angry elf about it. You were
I
not
was so
happy.
angry. I was like,
Yeah.
it's making journalists lose their jobs. Fuck this. Excuse me, little ears. Um, but
But
I came
now,
around. Now I use it. It's my virtual assistant.
now it's my boyfriend. I'm like,
I know.
ChatGPT, make me feel pretty. And they're
Tell me
like,
how pretty I am.
yeah, tell me I'm pretty and make me tacos. But truly, I feel like ChatGPT, I'm still more on ChatGPT, but there's ChatGPT, there's Claude, there's tools like Opus or Cast Magic. But ChatGPT is an incredible place to start, especially as a sounding board, as you're trying to figure out like what the heck should I post. So, as a coach, something that you could do is to go into ChatGPT and say, what is a time relevant post or content idea for a coach who helps people with eating disorders? And then it can spit out a bunch of ideas. And who knows, it might bring something up with Ozempic, which is also timely and, a hot topic and whatnot. So just thinking and using it as a tool to kick things off. And yes, it can even go further. Sometimes when I'm getting really stuck on a reel idea, I'll have it script out a reel for me and pop in like, I want a reel that is going to deliver this type of message. And it'll give me an outline or a script of what to do. And that's been an easy way for my brain to process the next step of action, which is putting the reel together. So
Totally.
yeah, well, how about you, Lex? Any other
Um,
things with
yeah,
Opus?
another way to use it. So content ideation is huge. Also, like pro tip, ask it for a certain number. So like let's say it only spits out one, you can go back and be like, "No, give me 20 more ideas." I will sit there and I'll say, "No, hate him. 20 more ideas." I get pretty sassy. But I also use it I'll kind of brain dump my iteration of a caption and I'll say, "Do you have any suggestions on how to clean
Mhm.
this up?" Or give me a new idea for a better CTA. And I don't always use it, but it becomes a great like when you're feeling stuck, right? Or your brain just is hitting a wall, it can be a great person, Jesus Christ, a great robot to bounce ideas off of.
Bye, CJ. See you later. This is my boyfriend, ChatGPT. No, I think that's a great thing too. And oftentimes you have done the work already. Like I'll take all my newsletters and I'll put them into ChatGPT and say like polish them. And so then that
Definitely.
way too, I'm not having to be the grammar police and make sure that my grammar is perfect. And I can be a little long-winded in the way that I write, so it'll fine tune it. And then similarly, you could take that same newsletter and hey, can you make 3 content ideas out of this, 3 social media
Well, you're
posts?
jumping on. Okay,
Ah,
so we
sorry,
are now
sorry.
jumping to, I just want to make a clear, okay, so number one, understanding AI as a tool for inspiration and iteration. Number two
I have a question for
is
you.
you kind of, there's a few ways what Emily is bringing up. Let's talk about repurposing. I think that's a good place to go from here. So Emily was just saying, and you can use tools
Yeah.
like ChatGPT to help in this process if you would like, or you don't have to, whatever. You could still be an angry elf. It's not going away though, so come, welcome. Take a newsletter and turn it into a blog. Take a blog. Let's actually talk about this example. We won't say who it was for, but in Ready, Set, Build yesterday, we had one of our members of the group say, I have this blog. Like,
Mhm.
what can I do with it? And Emily spit out one idea, and then I spit out one idea. I said, or Emily went first. Emily, you can share your idea or
I
what you
don't
told
remember
her.
it. What was my idea?
Emily's like, do a carousel. I think the blog
Oh,
was
yes.
5 tips for X.
Yeah,
Emily's like, do a carousel, like with swipe, swipe, swipe. And I'm like, great. And then give it a few weeks and turn that into a reel. So you
absolutely.
can take the same idea and recycle, recycle, reiterate, reiterate. And AI can help you learn how to reiterate. Pop that caption in and go, look, here's my like blog that did really well, or my caption, like give me another spin on how to repurpose this. Use the tools at your disposal. Hey everyone, Lex here.
And M.
And if you haven't heard, we did something pretty darn cool.
We sure did. We launched a completely free community built specifically for coaches.
Say it again for the people in the back.
We launched a free community for coaches. Tell them quickly who it's for and what we're doing inside, Lex.
Sure thing. So it's for anyone from the coaching curious to side hustlers to coaches ready to scale. And through the virtual platform that we've built, we've created a safe and fun space to learn, launch, grow, connect, ideate, collaborate, vent, and evolve together.
Nailed it, Lex. Now, while it's free, you must apply in order to gain a free membership. So we can make sure everyone inside is awesome, like us.
Apply today at readysetcoachcommunity.com.
Yeah, I think that's a great reminder for everyone too. I think, oh gosh, we've all been so guilty of this where it feels like you are promoting or you are saying the same message over and over and over again. And then you have that one conversation where they're like, you're doing X, Y, and Z, and you want to shake them really, really hard. But it's a reminder that as much as we think that we are the center of the universe, oftentimes people have their attention focused elsewhere and aren't like consuming your stuff like it is the Bible. So just remember to regurgitate and to reiterate and to refine and to retest, especially if something did do well, that's your permission slip to make it new again.
Yeah, and thank you for pointing that out. I think one pro tip or hack that, we don't take credit for inventing this, but go back through let's just pick your platform of choice. We'll say Instagram for now, and find one of your best performing reels and just make a different iteration of it. I know
Do it
that
all
sounds
the time.
silly, but I promise you someone doesn't remember your reel from 5 months ago.
Nope.
And maybe if you're really feeling self-conscious, you're like, I don't want to do a reel again. Maybe turn that reel that did really well into a slide and use the exact same language. Honestly,
Yeah.
you can. Say it again.
Say it again for the people in the back. No, I think that is such a good point. And also, you can take the same language and pop it on a different video, or you can take the same, like what you said, taking the language of a reel and then turning it into a carousel. So there's 7 different ways to communicate the same thing. So don't be shy about it. And when you do get stuck, or if you do get stuck, definitely leverage a thought partner like an AI tool to help you get creative.
And I want to talk about some other like less obvious ways to repurpose. Less obvious to some, maybe obvious to others, but beyond repurposing, your newsletter or your blog post, go to your website. Use some copy on your website. Do you have an event recording? Pop that into a tool like opus.ai, opus something.
I
Opus,
think
just Google
.ai.
opus.
I think you have it
.ai.
right.
And it'll spit out a bunch of short reels for you. So think a little bit more creatively. Do you have a sales brochure? Do you have a cool like quote from that you can repurpose? Start looking at all the content you've created, even if it wasn't for social media or marketing, and see if you can borrow from that. I, on the agency side, have a client who's in the manufacturing industry, and I go to their website all the time. And I'm like, oh, interesting. I go to the website and I'm like, oh, okay. And I read about a product and I let the website inspire stuff we're going to talk about. So that's another like thing to remember.
Yeah, I like that angle with it. In terms of tools too, I think, or other things to pull from our presentations. So if
Yeah.
you have done a presentation before, and you just taught a 45-minute presentation on X, Y, and Z, don't just throw it in the trash and walk away from it. Same thing, like, can you pull any of your script and then pop that into ChatGPT? Can you pull the whole presentation and pop it in and say, make 3 compelling visuals for this? Like, there's so many ways to make the effort and the stuff that you were thinking about go further.
Turn it into a freebie.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it into an ebook. We've done that too. You've heard us if you're longtime listeners. A good example, I think, like pat on the back to us. We wrote an article for Create and Cultivate.
Oh,
We then
yeah.
turned that, expanded that into a mini ebook, then turned that into a freebie, then talked about it on social, then sent it out on our newsletter. And so, really, I think people make content like they have to reinvent the wheel every day. And that's hard, guys. Melty face emoji. Who can do that? Not unless it's like your full-time job, which it's not if you're a coach. You're coaching.
No. I also am just kudos to like bloggers and influencers out there who people totally are like, that's such an easy job. If you have any friends that are influencers or any friends that are food bloggers, it is so annoying and so tedious to be around them because they are such perfectionists and they're capturing the perfect image and then they have to write about it and they have to put it in a blog and so on and so forth. So just a side note, that is more of a real job than we give them credit to.
It's a very real job. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've talked a lot about repurposing.
I have a
Let's
question
talk
for you,
about.
Lex. No,
Okay.
no, I gotta ask the
Oh,
question this time. So my husband's a designer, and I was always, and you are such a designer, like such a visual person. And what do you recommend for people to do when they're not a designer and they are overwhelmed with making content look pretty?
okay, so 3 thoughts here. First, I don't think at this point in time, don't feel called out if you're like the one person who doesn't know what I'm about to say, but I don't think people utilize Canva to its full ability. There are
Mhm.
so many template libraries, okay? They also have a whole learning center. If you're like, I don't know how to use it, honestly, like time block 10 minutes of your day and watch the how-to video. I promise you, you will be able to figure it out. If you refuse, then you can also head to a platform like Etsy. People pre-sell packages, designed things. You can head to a site like Fiverr. You can get really affordable design help there. What am I missing?
No, I think Etsy is also a great reminder too. And even yesterday in our visibility sprint, there was someone that was looking for a particular idea, and I just popped it into Google and it brought up an Etsy thing that was like exactly what this individual could use for like 12.99. And so for 12.99, she could have these pre-branded, perfectly designed for her niche um, templates without having to recreate the wheel in Canva.
If you're on YouTube, you're watching me have a cough attack and like my eyes are crying.
It's
If
really
you're on
cute.
YouTube, if you're on podcasts, you had no idea because I was beautied. But if you're on YouTube, hi. Oh my God, gave a thumbs up.
I don't know how
Guys, go
that
to
works.
YouTube. Unintentional YouTube plug. You can see me struggling through life. Now I'm the emoji with like the little mask over its face.
Oh God, Lex. We gotta
Not
fix
because of
her.
like masks, but like I think that means you're sick. Anyways, I digress. Okay, so don't let there's enough accessible options, the whole point here, to
Hmm.
not let the designing component hold you up. The other
Or
thing,
wait, I would just say, in addition to that too, find someone younger to help you. Like find, no, it's true. You're younger than me, and I feel like I'm still like a boomer compared to you sometimes. But I think about like, do you have a niece? Do you have a nephew? Do you have someone that you know in college? They all are so native to these tools that I think they could help explain it to you probably faster than most.
I'm going to very lovingly offer an alternative to that. Find someone creative because
Yeah,
I've
that
had
too.
many interns who cannot do well in Canva, and I am
Really?
almost, oh yeah, I
Oh,
am much older than them. I think it's you have a creative eye or you don't.
mm,
Find someone young and creative. You got the unicorn lobby, but then my mom's an art director and she's brilliant and older than me. So, you know what?
that's true. Is she good in Canva?
Probably she would be. Yeah.
Should we hire her as an
It's
intern?
all about I to me, in my opinion, at this point, like overseeing enough marketers, it's like you have the eye or you don't have the eye.
Yeah.
Period. End
Yeah.
of story.
I will
Okay.
say,
So we
okay.
just got canceled and unsubscribed by like multiple generations. So now we will move on to another point we want to bring up. So Emily talked about presentations. Also, turning to your actual coaching sessions, turning to your coaching notes, right? Was there a question that came up today? Now, we're not saying publish your coaching sessions, those are very sacred spaces, but did a topic get brought up? Was a question asked that can inspire you to create content?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Back to like what are the learnings that you can also turn into stories? Um, I want to say that with content, it is two parts. It's one part, often the design, the visual, but I think also a compelling message. And a lot of times we have incredible stories that we discredit because we're like, oh, that no one wants to hear about my X, Y, and Z thing. So thinking about like what are the stories that can hook people? What are the stories that you can tell that really can articulate and help sell your program or help people understand how you are as a coach? You would be surprised, and I'm sure Lex, you experience this as well. It's like sometimes I'll post something and you'll post it on deaf ears, and then all of a sudden, like weeks later, someone will quote back what you said on social media. Like, oh, it was like that post that you posted about loneliness. I'm like, you read that? No one engaged with that. You read that? That resonated with you? So just because it can feel like no one is paying attention, it often is worth also um, using that long form storytelling to convey who you are.
Yeah, and you just like prompted like 5 more ideas that I'm writing down so I don't forget them. So bear with me, guys. First off, too, if you really can't get past the visual, then go to a platform that doesn't need visual. Go to
Yep.
something that's text only. There's a lot. Go to Substack, go to LinkedIn, I mean, LinkedIn, you can have images and stuff, but you don't need them. So
You don't need
there
them.
are routes, newsletters. You don't need imagery there if that's your vibe. So don't let that be a hinderer. Now, we also promised you some time-saving hacks. I want to talk a little bit too about more structuring. We are big believers and teachers of having content buckets. So, themes to post on. I also think Emily brought up storytelling. If you're feeling hung up on storytelling, start with a how to. You're a coach.
Mhm.
I promise you know a how to. There's content that's going to entertain, engage, or inspire. What makes sense for you? Start with the lowest barrier to entry and
Mhm.
work your way up. So, and I'm speaking this a little bit personally for me, like how to is significantly easier for me than telling a story. Telling a story, even though I have them, is something that involved a lot more mindset work. So while they're important and they absolutely serve a purpose, start with the least path to resistance so you can start to build that muscle and that habit.
And to that point too, you can use ChatGPT as a thought partner and be like, hey, I want to write 5 how-to posts that equal this transformation. And then you can have them write those how-tos, or they can get bullet points, or they can give you inspiration. And also the more that you talk to it, the more it knows you. So you can be like, what would be something that you would want to learn from me? And ask it questions to remind you like, what you know how to teach.
Totally. And we also suggest this is going to be different for every personality type. So I guess first get to understand what works best for you. Some people love to batch, some people don't. Emily loves to batch, I don't. Some people like having like rigid every Monday I'm going to do this kind of post. Every Wednesday I'm going to do this kind of post, right? There are a lot of different structures and formats that you can create operationally to make this feel more streamlined, just like any other part of your business. There's schedulers. Like Emily, what are some of your favorite tools?
I mean, I love later.com. For me, I find it really easy. I'll sit down and I'll work with ChatGPT and I'll batch a whole bunch of writing, and then I will marry it to a picture, and then I will pop it into later.com. And then I'll
For
be like,
Instagram?
for Instagram. And then
Okay.
for LinkedIn, I will look at my old newsletters. I will pop it into ChatGPT, say LinkedIn-ish it. LinkedInify it? I don't know what the word is.
Linktify? Linktify. I
LinkedIn.
don't know. New
That
word.
sounds
Find
weird.
it.
And then I will batch out LinkedIn as well. I'll like look at what I'm trying to sell or promote or spotlight, and then I'll usually batch it about a month in advance.
Yeah. You can be as simple or as high tech as you want here. There's
Yep.
no shortage of systems. There's project management systems. There's things like Hootsuite that go cross platform. You can use the schedulers in app. Like you can
Yeah.
schedule posts in Instagram. You can schedule posts in LinkedIn. For my agency where we do done for you content, we have like full spreadsheets and systems. But if you're not there yet, you don't have to be. It's about
Mm-mm.
finding a system that works for you and not letting someone else's system create this perceived barrier to entry.
1000%. And I think that's a really important thing to remember. So Lex, I'm also curious for you in terms of um, recycling old prompts. I know you do that a lot. I know you also repurpose across platform. Is there anything else that you have been utilizing that we've totally failed to touch on
Mention like,
today?
well, we're barely scratching the surface here, you guys. The last one I'll throw in, and then we'll like wrap this bad boy up, is depending again on the platform of choice that you're using, tuning into trending news for relevant and timely hooks and hacks. So,
Yeah.
in PR, we call this newsjacking, which can kind of have a negative connotation. But I'm going to use LinkedIn because I think LinkedIn's a really great example. On the sidebar of LinkedIn, every day it says what's trending on LinkedIn. And that's something that you can look at. And if it's relevant to you as a coach, tie into the conversation, share that article, use the hashtag.
Mhm.
Let that inspire what you talk about on a given day. You obviously can't batch that, but if you want to be more topically timely, that's how you do it.
I think that's a great thing to do. And in our Ready Set Build, we give the gals a trending news things and hooks in which you can use into your blogs, into your newsletters, into your social media, as well as some relevant hooks just to make you think about writing content that much more in your language. So like, can you give an example of one of the hooks that we did, Lex?
Yesterday we had, well, yeah, we had evergreen, timely, and news. One of the news we did was um,
OpenSeek,
DeepSeek.
DeepSeek.
DeepSeek is coming out. Speaking since we've talked so much about AI,
Yeah.
DeepSeek is like the new thing making news everywhere. So the conversation starters we had for our coaches in the room were, how are you using AI? Is AI something your customers are using? Is it impacting their job? If you're a career coach, can you talk about AI in the career force? You can usually, if it's something, we also talked about there's a new administration. Do politics play a part of your brand? We had
Hmm.
some sex and intimacy coaches in the room. So there are definitely things topically that are relevant to their clients if they want to go that route. So you can usually find something of relevance. My favorite thing to subscribe to is the Skim. I read
Hmm.
it every morning, SKIMM, and it gives me a really quick, digestible lowdown of the last 24 hours of the news cycle. I'm also in PR, so I'm like obsessively reading the news, but that gives me a good sprinkling of like things to start thinking about for the day.
Yeah. And that's why your anxiety level is so high because you
For
read the
sure.
news every day. I'm kidding, but not really.
But
I
not
feel
really, but we're not kidding. So, what's our homework, Em?
so I think our homework is to challenge people to, as we embark on a new month, as we embark on, and this still new year, we had a trial month with January, but thinking about what do they want to do to work smarter, not harder? How can they take like a hard look at their content? And I would say audit what did really well and how can you make it go further? I would also say same thing with like a newsletter. If you send out newsletters, what newsletters were well responded to and turn that into multiple iterations of things across different platforms. And then lastly, if you're not already using these tools as we recommended as a thought partner, play around with them.
Pick a hack, any hack. We gave you a bunch.
Yeah, and we will heed our own advice as well. So it
Sure
is
will.
sure, but it's really fun, and I think we're so lucky to live in a it's per the news like it's so doom and gloom, but we are so lucky to live in a time and place that we have these resources available to us to share our point of views more broadly. We don't have to be published in a magazine to be heard. We don't have to be seen on the Today Show to be seen. I think
take advantage of them and think about it as an opportunity to educate people and that you're fortunate versus like you have to do it.
Let me underline that as my last kind of sign off for today. To Emily's point, mindset hack we share here is think of your content as an opportunity to serve. You are a coach, you want to create impact. Here's a beautiful way to do so. So, with that mic drop, double mic drops, you mic dropped, then I mic dropped, your mic dropped. We will see you next time on the
On the
Ready, Set,
Coach
podcast.
podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you're enjoying the Ready, Set, Coach podcast, please leave a review wherever you are listening. For more information about Ready, Set, Coach, visit readysetcoachprogram.com.